it's not just people like Lizzie or the weird pink-haired, blue-nailed gals who are struggling. April, right? There's not just the Aprils of the world who are struggling in their family relationships. That's my presumption. It's also people at the upper echelon of society when it comes to money, fame, privilege, access, you name it. And that brings me to David Beckham, Victoria Beckham, and their son, Brooklyn Beckham, and his wife, Nicola. And the wife is an heiress herself. She comes from a very wealthy family. So I don't think she cares about her husband's money or her parents, her in-laws' fame. And this may be part of the problem because Brooklyn Beckham just went jihad on his mom and dad, David Beckham and Victoria. And forgive me because he posted it in a written post, so I have to read it. He says this is page 6 reporting, he had no choice but to break his silence on his longstanding family feud. The mother and the wife do not get along, but it's beyond that now we learn. In a lengthy Instagram story statement, he said his parents had been controlling narratives in the press about his family and tried to ruin his relationship with his wife, Nicola Peltz Beckham. Okay, here is what he wrote. I've been silent for years and made every effort to keep these matters private. Unfortunately, my parents and their team have continued to go to the press, leaving me with no choice but to speak for myself and tell the truth about only some of the lies that have been printed. I do not want to reconcile with my family. I'm not being controlled. I'm standing up for myself for the first time in my life. For my entire life, my parents have controlled narratives in the press about our family, the performative social media posts, family events, and inauthentic relationships have been a fixture of the life I was born into. My parents have been trying endlessly to ruin my relationship since before my wedding, and it hasn't stopped. My mom canceled making Nicola's dress in the 11th hour. Victoria Beckham's a designer now, of course, despite how excited she was to wear her design, forcing her to urgently find a new dress. Weeks before our big day, my parents repeatedly pressured and attempted to bribe me into signing away the rights to my name, which would have affected me, my wife, and our future children. No idea what that means. They were adamant on me signing before my wedding date because the terms of the deal then would be initiated. My holdout affected the payday, and they have never treated me the same since. During the wedding planning, my mom went so far as to call me evil because Nicola and I chose to include my nanny Sandra and Nicola's nanny at our table, presumably at the wedding, because they both didn't have their husbands. Both of our parents had their own tables equally adjacent to ours. Sounds like Victoria was not happy. She called him evil for that. Since the moment I started standing up for myself with my family, I've received endless attacks from my parents, both privately and publicly, that were sent to the press on their orders. Even my brothers were sent to attack me on social media before they ultimately blocked me out of nowhere this last summer. My mom hijacked my first dance with my wife, which had been planned weeks in advance, to a romantic love song in front of our 500 wedding guests. Mark Anthony called me to the stage where in the schedule was planned to be my romantic dance with my wife, but instead my mom was waiting to dance with me. Instead, she danced very inappropriately on me in front of everyone. I've never felt more uncomfortable or humiliated in my entire life. I know it's bad. It's bad. We wanted to renew our vows so we could create new memories of our wedding day that bring us joy and happiness and not anxiety and embarrassment. Almost done. My wife has been consistently disrespected by my family, no matter how hard we've tried to come together as one. My mom has repeatedly invited women from my past into our lives in ways that were clearly intended to make us both uncomfortable. The narrative that my wife controls me is completely backward. I have been controlled by my parents for most of my life. I grew up with overwhelming anxiety, and for the first time in my life since stepping away from my family, that anxiety has disappeared. Whoa. Whoa. Dirty laundry out on the clothespins on the line. Yeah.
I'm literally crying right now.
What's happening here? I confess I haven't been totally paying attention to this other than I knew Victoria and the new wife of her son do not get along. So get us up to speed. What are your thoughts on it?
Don't know. I was hoping you were going to pitch it to Will.
You want Will to go first?
No.
Will's got thoughts.
Here is my thought on it. My thought on it is this is why my husband hates social media, because he's like, social media has ruined culture. And while I agree that there are moments like this where you see it, there is also good with social media. So that being a caveat, I think that we've reached this weird era where it's like we, instead of handling things privately, and I get that they're celebrities, so things are a little different. It's like royalty. But I've gone through stuff with family that was never made public, that was kept private, and we handled it, and relationships were broken and a couple were restored. But we didn't air our public underwear, is what this feels like. I don't know where to stand on it. And I think it makes the public uncomfortable because now the onus is on us to take a side and we don't even know what's going on. So I think that this is where airing public or dirty laundry like this just feels uncomfortable and wrong. And we just want it to kind of be private. And I know that celebrities are from a different world, but I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm supposed to take a side and I don't even know what's going on.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why, when I started to become more public, and then we had kids, it was very clear to both Doug and to me, we would not be putting them out there at all for consumption.
Yep.
We don't post their pictures. To this day, it's very hard to find a picture of my kids on the internet.
Yep.
Like only one publication did it a long time ago when they were little. And that's by design because we're religious about it. We don't think just because we've chosen to be in the public eye, they should have to do it. Now, the Beckhams went a different way. But I will also say in their defense, they're the Beckhams. I mean, it would have been really hard, and I think the same about Tom Brady and Giselle. Like, they're not going to have their kids show up at the Super Bowl and watch Tom Brady, not going to have their kids show up at the World Cup and watch David Beckham. So it's like, it is hard to maintain the privacy when you're a megastar like those guys are.
I agree to an extent. I also think that one of the things that he said in that post that I read yesterday was about the branding, making your family a brand. And I've even seen small little social media accounts like Cute Homeschool Moms do that, where I'm like, I don't know if you fully understand that you're creating a brand versus a family and you're having your kid play a part and fit them into this picture. And I think that's the lesson in all of this, even for us normal little moms, is just to be careful about how we represent our families and our kids. And we also think ahead about, our kids will live the internets forever. So they live with the images that we push out. Right. And I think it is a caution to not make your child your brand.
Yes. I never felt it was important enough to have strangers tell me how cute my kids were, to sacrifice their privacy, their anonymity, and their right to grow up without the public lens on them all the time. Obviously, things were different in the Beckham family, and you can feel this kid's resentment, Will.
Yeah, I can sympathize with everything you guys are saying, but I also kind of look at it and I'm like, is this kid going to return all the money from his family? Is he going to give up everything that they've given him and all that? Or is he just going to come on social media and start crying about it? It feels kind of like a loser mentality.
Now he can because he married an heiress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like loser mentality, in my opinion, where he's coming out and now saying this after all these years and putting this out there when he feels safe and confident enough. And, everyone, anxiety and stress and all that, that's all the rage now. Everyone wants to hear about how stressed you are because of all these things. And it's just like you look back in history and think about like actual monarchs and empires and family drama within them. And I can't imagine these people were going to the common folk and saying, look at all how stressed my dad made me about these things, and maybe that's a weird example, but honestly, like, it just feels so fake and nonsensical. Like, talking about choosing a side, I have no side because I think they're both just ridiculous people that we shouldn't worry about whatsoever.
I kind of have a side because I'm biased, obviously, because I have 3 kids, but I think you should respect your mother and father. I mean, even if they're imperfect, even if they're doing things that bother you, I think you should respect your mother and father, especially when they're public figures. That stuff he wrote about Victoria Beckham at the wedding was meant to humiliate her. And I'm sure it did. I'm sure she was mortified. And I think whatever she's doing, I trust whatever she's doing it out of like a deep, profound love for her son. Like, she's maybe not behaving well. I can't totally take him at face value, but she seems desperate to have her son in her life, Britt, and maybe she's not handling it perfectly. I would hope a child would remember that. And even though he's madly in love with the new wife and maybe there's some friction there, like, to keep some grace there for the mother and father who raised him and obviously adore him.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're the mother-in-law, note to self, like, you probably don't want to jump in on the first dance. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there. If that actually happened, probably not a good call.
Not good. But, we were talking about this before we went on the air. The one thing that I know this. Now, I accept the royal family out of this because they're royals. Like, everybody comes to them. Everyone's subservient to them. So this is not about Meghan Markle, who behaved very badly, as we all know. But in general, you as the mother in particular have to make it your job that your son's wife likes you.
Yep.
You got to treat that like a job, because he is going to prioritize her over you. And if you make it a contest between the two of you, you'll lose. I'm sorry to say it, but I know it's true. Mine are still young enough that they don't, that's a ways off, but that's human nature. That's the way we continue the human race. Of course, he's going to prioritize his wife over his mom. And the moms of the world, we just have to bite our lips and suck it up and pretend, if we must, that we love this girl in order to keep our son in our lives. Am I wrong?
No, you're so right. And I shout out to my mother-in-law, who I know is listening to this, who has done the most incredible job of being the most loving mother-in-law and never causing any issues in our marriage. And she knows her boundary lines. She loves my husband as her son, and she loves me as a daughter, and has always encouraged and strengthened, our marriage, but has never interfered or meddled to make it where he has to pick one side or another. So many lessons in this topic.
So good. A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to somebody from Birch Gold Group? You've been thinking about it. They use an educated approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, text MK to 989898 now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.